Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our Springboard to Summer virtual conference. My name is Tom Haggard, and I am the director of the Kentucky Out of School Alliance, one of your co-hosts for this event. We are very excited to be with you for the next 2 days as we learn and share best practices to provide high quality summer learning opportunities. We're going to do that through curated networking opportunities, inspiring and interactive sessions like you'll hear this morning, as well as practical resources that are designed to help you engage every student this summer. First and foremost, I would like to send a big thank you to our amazing partners who have made this event possible. Definitely our co-host, the Oklahoma Partnership for Expanded Learning. Definitely a big shout out to the amazing team behind the scenes at DCPV 360. They make these events so easy to put on for us as co-hosts, and they'll make it a great learning experience for you. Also like to give a shout out to our wonderful colleagues at Collaborative Communication for all their support for putting this event on. And of course, we definitely want to thank the incredible speakers and presenters that you'll be fortunate enough to interact with over the course of the next 2 days. Before we kick off this morning, I did just want to take a few moments to share a little bit about the Kentucky Out of School Alliance with you and how we can support your work in your local communities in Kentucky. CIOSA is really a community of professionals and advocates dedicated to creating exceptional out of school time programs for every single student in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. Our vision is that all children and youth in our state will have access to high quality after school and summer learning programs that prepare them not only for success in school, but also in their workplace and in life as well. We are proud to be one of 50 Charles Stewart Mott Foundation funded state after-school networks. We're also proud to be the Kentucky state affiliate for the National After School Association. And we wouldn't be here today without being an initiative of Save the Children, our fiscal sponsor, who supports so much of our work. Just so you know, we are in direct service to you, to out of school time organizations and professionals first and foremost, but also obviously the children, youth, and families that you serve. We do this by forging statewide, regional, and local cross-sector collaborations. We try to advance statewide policy in support of after school and summer learning. We want to help build the capacity of our amazing out of school time workforce. And we try to provide a centralized hub of data and resources that help you and hopefully make your work a little bit easier. We approach our work with some key values and with a commitment to things like collaboration, transparency, fairness, and belonging. I hope you'll take some time to check out our vendor booth in our virtual exhibit hall, where you can learn even more about us and the support and services that we provide to you. I would also encourage you, after we're done today, to check out our website. And some specific sections I wanted to highlight for you are our event page. That is where we keep a curated list of local, state, national events that are relevant to school-age childcare providers and the entire out-of-school time community. We have a program resources section where we have the most up-to-date resources to help you start, expand, or sustain your program. And we also include current funding opportunities, both at the national, state, and local levels. We have a professional development section where you can access our completely free online learning system that contains hours of on-demand training tailored specifically to school-age childcare professionals and those running after school and summer learning programs. In addition, most of those trainings are already approved for ECE TRIS training credit. And last but not least, I'd love for you to check out what we call our CIOSA Data Explorer. It's a first of its kind interactive map where you can learn everything you ever wanted to know about after school and summer learning in Kentucky, including reports, fact sheets, and shareable graphics. So that's just a little bit about us. But before I hand it off, I'd also like to recognize our incredible sponsors that have made this event possible. Big shout out to the Kentucky Department of Education's Healthy Schools team. Jim and Stephanie, thank you for your steadfast support of out of school time in Kentucky. We'd like to thank Save the Children, the Charles Stewart Mott Foundation, and last but certainly not least, we'd like to thank Mizzen by Mott. And to learn a little bit more about this incredible tool, I'd like to introduce you to Kristen Stayer, who's going to tell us a little bit more about Mizzen.
Awesome. Thanks so much, Tom. Great to be here with you all today. I am Kristen Stayer, and I serve as the VP of Engagement and Educator Experiences with the Mizzen by Mott team. And our purpose really at Mizzen is to partner alongside of you all, similar to what just Tom was saying, like getting those resources in your hands, those free accessible resources that can really enhance the experience and ultimately spark curiosity, joy, and a love of learning for children, youth, and the educator. So with all of that, I would love to just kind of get a quick pulse check in the space here and in the chat. If you can just drop a number 1, a number 2, or number 3. Number 1, if you currently use Mizzen. Number 2, if you've heard of Mizzen but don't currently actively use it. Or number 3, what the heck is a Mizzen? Would love to understand just kind of where we are in the space together. Awesome. Okay. So lots of folks like, what in the world is Mizzen? Well, I'm excited to tell you about that today. And share about this completely free resource. So what I'm going to do, best way to share this in a very quick sense is to share a quick video overview of who we are and how we do what we do.
Mizzen by Mott is the all-in-one app platform and learning community designed for you, the practitioner and caregiver, that gives you engaging, first-rate content, fast and free of cost. Whether you need a 10-minute team builder or a 12-week module, we've got you covered. Mizzen opens worlds of discovery to young people in out-of-school time programs. With a growing library of more than 1,400 activities, weekly modules, and curated playlists. Whatever their passion, be it art and animal habitats, or building a robot, a greenhouse, or a small business, Mizzen's learning resources help them hone skills and let their imaginations take flight. Our activities, lessons, and practitioner pro tips are smart, practical, fun, and free of cost. Plus, with our ever-evolving planning features and tools, Mizzen will save you and your team precious time so you can focus fully on learning experiences and building community. Visit Mizzen.org for your free account today and join the thousands of youth-serving professionals that are sparking curiosity, creating joy, and inspiring learning.
So highly encourage each of you to take a second, scan the QR, or just go to Mizzen.org to find out more how to access your free account. One thing that I'll share here in a second is that we also have a way to create accounts called Mizzen for Teams. And Mizzen for Teams is perfect for what you all are doing outside of just creating an individual account. This allows you and your team to collaborate on the platform together, streamline some planning and coordination. You would access all of Mizzen's collaborative tools, including building the groups, easily scheduling pieces of content, and connecting via messages inside the app to chat and to share those resources. So I'm going to put a link in the chat here in a minute. And if you fill out this form through the website, we will get connected with you and we can get this account set up alongside of you really quickly and easily. Also, one thing that I'm pleased to be able to do today is to offer a Tinker Kit from one of our amazing partners, the Rediscover Center. They have some fantastic resources on the app, and you'll be able to find all of that. And so I am going to do a random drawing here in a little while after the day to those who do sign up for a team account. We like to say that Mizzen is like the vetted Pinterest for after school. So we know that going and searching and trying to find all of the content can be tricky. And so we've really taken the lift off to help vet and help link to standards and create those resources. And so you'll find everything from collections to individual activities to full modules for K to 12. In addition, you'll find pro tips that are designed for the educator, for ourselves, that we can continue to learn about the content and how to facilitate that, or personal and self reflection. Like we said earlier, and like you've heard in the video, it is a completely free resource. There really, truly are no strings attached. This is designed out of the collective voice and need of the field, because we know that there is a critical need for high quality, engaging content in the hands of educators that are leading these amazing experiences for youth. And so, again, sign up, create your free account. We are happy to onboard, train, and get the product and the platform in your hands to enhance your program quality. So thanks so much, Tom, and I'll hand that back to you.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Kristen. I hope if you haven't already, I hope you're taking out your phones right now to download the Mizzen by Mott app. Make sure you get all of those amazing resources. If you receive our CAIOSA newsletter, either our regular newsletter or our STEM newsletter, we are always include Mizzen tips in those newsletters. So always great information, new content all the time. So thank you, Kristen. Now let's dive in to why summer learning and summer enrichment is so incredibly important for our young people. For our day one kickoff, I'd like to introduce to you Brodrick Clarke. He is the Vice President of Programs and Systems Quality at the National Summer Learning Association. Brodrick has extensive experience working with the K-12 student population, primarily in out-of-school time settings. He has recruited and trained hundreds of youth workers and volunteers over his career, and we are really excited to welcome him to the Springboard to Summer Conference. So Brodrick, I will hand it off to you.
Thank you so much, brother. I appreciate you for creating a pathway for me to be here in this moment right now, in this time. I'm on my own personal journey, so I'm learning to start with gratitude and just feeling super humbled and honored to be in the space with each and every one of you. And I'm super humbled and honored to hang out with two states that, are near and dear to me. Fun fact, I did actually work in Kentucky at the Muhammad Ali Center in Louisville, to hang out with Greg Fisher for a little bit there, and Abramson's and all that good stuff there, and had a chance to spend some time at the state education office in Tulsa, and did a lot of work on the ground in Oklahoma City. And so to be here with both Kentucky and Oklahoma is certainly an honor and a privilege. I'm Brodrick Clarke. I currently serve as the Vice President of Programs and Systems Quality with the National Summer Learning Association. I'm an out-of-school time guy all day, every day, so I've had no other career job than being in the service of children, youth, and families. And I believe as of today, I have the best job in the universe, which is to connect children and families to high-quality summer learning experiences every single year, especially the most vulnerable among us, that 26 million young people that are on free and reduced lunch. We want to reach out to them and make sure that they have access to a high quality. Go ahead, you can say it. I say high, you say quality, high quality, high quality. Without question, if it's not high quality, don't even bother, right? Because you're not going to move young people to outcomes. But we're here to try to go through 60 minutes of funk. I mentioned James Brown earlier because, he kind of gives me this visceral kind of reaction. You can't listen to James Brown's funk music without moving a little bit. So I'm hoping to move your mind, your body, your spirit today around a topic that's near and dear to me, which is positive youth development. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in this moment. Let me go ahead and start that slideshow from the beginning. Fabulous. Can I get a thumbs up? Are you seeing that beautiful splash screen? Positive youth development, summer learning, fabulous. Great. So just really quickly about NSLA, so I can do a little bit of justice here. NSLA is a national nonprofit organization. We focus exclusively on closing the achievement gap. Summer slide is real. The achievement gap is real. All the inequities that exist in the education space seem to raise its head even more profoundly in the summertime. And so we want to close that gap. as much as possible and make sure that every single young person in America has access to a high quality summer learning experience. We want them to succeed, in life. And we know that the things that they get to learn and out of school time have application to, their academic pursuits and potential vocation and how they sustain themselves and their families in the future. Summertime is awesome. Let's just stop and just take 1 second. Summertime is an awesome space, without question. We tend to take the entire summer experience and distill it down into what we call 4 I's. And in the summertime, you actually can improve, right? So of course we want to run dynamic experiences for young people and families, and we want them to have a great experience and have an awesome summer, and we will do that. But we can multitask, right? So we can do that, and we can also leverage this time as an opportunity for improvement. Staff can look at their practice, they can look at their craft, and they can say, you know what? I don't really do an amazing job with reflection. So this summer, the summer of 2023, I'm going to make sure that I have open-ended reflection questions that I ask at the end of every activity. As a matter of fact, even if the activity extends and we don't get to finish, I'm still going to shorten the activity and do a reflection rather than skip the reflection just because of the power of reflection, right? So this is just a practical example of how we leverage the summertime, not only as an opportunity for students to learn, but for staff to hone their skills, to hone their craft, to practice, to try new things, to innovate. All of these great summer programs that we hang out with today, the 4-H's of the world, the Y's of the world, Boys and Girls Clubs of the world, right? A lot of those programs, charter schools, KIPP school, all these places started as summer programs. And so let's leverage the summertime as a chance to innovate, to incubate new ideas, to try things before scaling. Some folks are doing things hyper locally, but some people have multi-site. So let's try this at one site and then expand out from there. It's also a time for integration. In education, you have libraries and you have parks and recreation, and then you have the school district, and then you have, all of these systems that are designed to support young people, but we tend to sort of split off and to operate in our own little silos. Libraries over here, parks and rec over here, and there's very little overlap. But we know interdependence is something that is a 21st century skill, right? So how do we break down those silos and work together so that young people can transition between those systems seamlessly to get the services, opportunities, and supports that they need to survive and thrive? And then it's also a time for impact. So, as we think about, hands-on learning or, schooling in the parks or teaching in the parks, and it's a chance to model, what it means to be a caring community. It's a chance to really connect young people to their family and community life in a really meaningful way. And so let's leverage the summer as well as a time for impact. If this stuff is resonating with anybody within the sound of my voice, I see 69 wonderful human beings in this room without question. Just go ahead and use that reaction button. Give me a thumbs up, give the little balloons or the confetti. If there's anything that resonates with you in this discussion that hits you up here intellectually, or if there's something that hits you right here in your heart, go ahead and let us know. And so I just want to take a moment to talk a little bit about the distinction between summer learning and summer school. So if I ask you to sort of put yourself in the mind of a 6th grader, and you're walking into the guidance office with your parent or parents, caregivers, and that guidance counselor looks at you in the face and tells you, you're going to have to go to summer school this year. Now, even though knowing that you're, a well-adjusted adult human being right now on a webinar, you probably feel your heart sink a little bit. You probably feel your hands a little sweaty because you know what that experience of summer school might feel like. It might even be a little bit of stigma that's associated with it, right? And with all due respect to all those educators that do amazing work during a traditional school day and traditional summer school, so shout them out, give them a snap, because they're awesome humans, awesome educators. Summer learning is not summer school, right? Summer learning, let me say that again, summer learning is not summer school. In summer learning, it's actually quite the opposite. So in summer learning, you get to focus on new and accelerated learning. It's not about just remediation, right? It can be comprehensive, it can be project-based, it can be hands-on, it can be outside of the school building. We can take all the kids down to a construction site and everybody has their hard hats on and we're studying buildings at scale, you know? It could be super hands-on, tactile, right? It's not about academic drill and skill. It can take place, of course, in a variety of locations. It's super exciting. Like, imagine a summer academic space that young people actually want to go to, right? They choose to go there. It's that's preferred to be in that program because it's exciting, it's engaging, it's relevant, it's attractive. Everybody wants to attend. And of course, it's voluntary and open to all, as opposed to the mandatory nature of traditional summer school. So just wanted to do a little bit of level setting to make sure that folks really totally understood what we're talking about. You know, when we say summer learning is facilitated by a crafty facilitator that has superpowers and that they're able to create academic experiences that are fun, interesting, relevant, to the point where young people get to the end of the day and all they can talk about is how much fun they had and how amazing the experience was throughout the day. They don't have to necessarily know that you just went over 46 literacy standards and 23 math standards. Of course, the facilitator knows that, right? But we craftily, seed those academic ends in the summer learning experience, along with all the other awesome stuff that we traditionally do in the out of school time space, keeping young people safe, supporting them, providing opportunities to interact and engage. And so I'd encourage you to go visit the Forum for Youth Investment because they're an incredible think tank. A lot of what I'm talking about today is coming out of a research base that comes from the Forum for Youth Investment. So I'd encourage you, if you ever heard of Karen Pittman, if you've not heard of Karen Pittman, she's one of the founders, along with Marita Irby of the Forum for Youth Investment. She's the one who coined the term problem-free is not fully prepared, right? So let that blow your mind for a second. So problem-free is not fully prepared. What is he talking about? We're gonna get into that in a little bit of time that we have here today. Wyckoff Center for Youth Program Quality is a division or a unit of the Forum for Youth Investment. They're a critical partner of ours. We've created a co-branded tool that we use for assessment. And I'll talk a little bit about that tool throughout the course of our conversation today. So I'm going to challenge folks on the line right now to 73 people. Zoom is awesome. You get to talk to like a whole bunch of people at scale. So this is really cool. If there's anybody on the line who cares to unmute yourself and maybe even share your image and likeness with your camera and talk about one of these aspects of positive youth development settings that you do very well, that you think about everything that you do in your program, all the goodness, all the services, opportunities, and supports that you provide for families. I'm looking for one brave soul to unmute themselves and share which one of these features of positive youth development settings that you do super, super well, like better than anybody else on the planet, if you will. Just feel free, unmute yourself. Let us know. You got physical, psychological safety, appropriate structure, supportive relationships. Looking for one person, one of these 73 great souls on this call. Unmute yourself and share one of these that you do really well. I see you, Heather. It looks like you might. It looks like you, Heather. You might. You like you're thinking about pressing the unmute and sharing
Hi.
something.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I totally can hear you. How are you today?
I'm wonderful, thank you. My name is Dina. I'm with the YMCA in Louisville, Kentucky. I love the supportive relationships. I think with that one, when we do our jobs, if we're looking at those, being part and involved with the parents, them getting to know them is really powerful because then when they're going through, you're able to refer them to resources that will take them to a level of getting out of their current circumstances and moving into their next.
Absolutely, absolutely. Shout out to the great city of Louisville. No question. I'm gonna pause. Somebody else care to share? This is a chance to like kind of brag a little bit. Dry brag. You got some awesome practices going on where you are. Like which one of these did you do really well, better than anybody else on the planet? Unmute yourself and share with us. I'll share support for efficacy and mattering. It takes 2 seconds to let a child know that they matter, right? You're walking through the hallways at your program. You see Hakeem running through the hallway. You know, you haven't seen him in 3 days. And you take a moment and stop him and be like, yo, Hakeem, where you been, man? We missed you. We needed you. Like, this project that we're working on. Like, it takes 2 seconds to let a child know that they matter. And we know that unfortunately, in some zip codes, that moment of me telling that child that they matter is probably the only time all year that they heard that they matter, whether they're at home, in their community, at school, wherever, right? And so I would just encourage you, good folks on the call, 76 of my great friends, when you got a chance to talk about great practice that's going on in your community, in your programs, please leverage it, seize the moment, hold on to it, lift it up. Because when we're talking about positive youth development and things like assessment and evaluation, it's not only to identify the things that are going wrong, it's to identify great practices that are going on. And you all do great practices. I would say, and I would bet, and I would double and triple down on it, that even in the most chaotic and dysfunctional of programmatic environments, that you can find one thing to celebrate. If that resonates, can you find one thing to celebrate? Go ahead and click the raise hand button or like the little thumbs up or something like that. Like, can you find something to celebrate? Right? So let's take a moment and think about if we're creating environments that are physically and psychologically safe, there's a structure there, there are supportive relationships, there are opportunities to belong, which belonging is like the most important youth development principle on the planet. If you had to pick one out of all of them, you want to make sure young people have opportunities to belong. Positive social norms, support for efficacy and mattering, opportunities to build skills, and of course, how do we integrate family, school, and community and connect young people to our community in more meaningful, tangible ways? Thanks for all the thumbs up there in the chat. I appreciate that. It keeps it super interactive.
Hey, Brodrick, I'm
Yes.
sorry. This is Tom. I'm just gonna interrupt real quick, just because I think we're having a bit of a technical issue with your screen share. It's just a little bit small. So I've asked our tech, Tim, to join in here to see if we can just get that corrected with that screen share. You might have to stop screen share and reshare, perhaps. Just want everybody to see the amazing content that you're.
I appreciate that. I'm gonna go ahead and stop share right now. Zoom, Zoom. Going to reshare.
Mr. Clarke, while we do that, I'd like to say I'm Linda Green from Lincoln County High School. I'd like to say that one of the most important things is to start at an early age to make sure these kids know that when they get to the high school level, that they're appreciated even there, because our high school students sometimes feel left out. They don't have that belonging or that I'm important. And you have to go beyond and above sometimes the elementary school levels, because our high school kids kind of get shoved to the side. So I think here at Lincoln County High School, I do a very good job of helping my high school kids feel like they matter and they're important. And I think that, to me, relationships is the most important thing to make this whole thing work, is you have to individualize the students as if they're the most important thing to you at that time.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for jumping in there and sharing your wisdom around that. And we know our high school age youth in out of school time is woefully underserved. And with high school students, typically, they're looking for opportunities that will get them to be somewhat independent from their adult caregivers, right? So things like summer jobs is one of the highest forms of summer learning. And so thank you for reminding us not to forget about our older youth. Awesome. So I recognize that there might be a bit of a technical issue here. I'm not sure if starting and stopping my share resolved that, but I'm gonna walk us through it here. In out of school time, summer learning, positive youth development, we do a couple of things, and it's kind of divided into like a pyramid, so to speak. So this comes to us from our friends at the White Kid Center for Youth Program Quality. Once again, we want to make sure that young people are safe and that we provide the adequate supports for them and give them opportunities to interact and engage at the top of the pyramid. When we say engagement, it means that young people are co-creators of their experience. They're highly engaged in their own growth and development. And the adult facilitators create opportunities for those young people to plan what they do that thing that they do, and then reflect on what they've done as a result. It's called the experiential learning cycle: plan, do, reflect, plan, do, review. You've heard it in the corporate sector. But one of the things that's like hanging out at the base and the foundation of all of this is that adults, caregivers that commit to working and serving in this space are constantly learning and growing. If you're a lifelong learner, go ahead and click that reaction button. Go ahead and click that thumbs up. Like, if you believe that no matter how long you've been in this business, that you still got something to learn, no matter how long you've been in this business, that even if you're at the pinnacle and the top in terms of your content knowledge, that you can leverage your knowledge and expertise to share with others so that they can become better. You can be like LeBron James, all those great athletes that make the other people around them better, right? Go ahead and click that thumbs up button if you feel like you that person, because that's the thing that's really going to drive your quality efforts, whether it's a single solitary program or you're engaged in continuous quality improvement efforts at scale. The other piece that's at the foundation of this work is, how do you involve young people in helping to shape the experience, whether it's the programmatic experience, or how do you involve young people in how you govern your organization? So asking yourself questions like, can young people participate in hiring the next executive director? Do you believe that that's true? Can young people participate in choosing which programs and services and opportunities happen in the summer of 2024? Can participants participate in the staff evaluation process and participate in the strategic planning process from our organization as we think about our next 10 years within the community? If you answer yes to all of those things, like, you're ready to rock and roll with this youth voice and choice piece, right? So yes, continue to attend things like this, opportunities to learn and grow, and find actively ways to create pathways for young people to contribute, not only to what we offer them, but how we offer it to them, and with them and alongside them is super important. And then do the rest. Keep young people safe, support them, provide opportunities to interact and engage. When we think about the summertime, you have that framework, but then you also have some additional ends, right? Because summer learning is also about academic achievement, right? When you think of academic achievement, you got math scales that you want to talk about. How do I integrate mathematics in this experience? You have literacy. How do I integrate literacy into this experience? It's a billion things you can do with literacy. I mean, I love math too, but literacy, I can do a poetry slam. I can create creative spaces for young people to just free write, and of course in free write, there's no wrong answer. So, I'm liberated. I can kind of express myself. Awesome. But I can also think about how the program is flowing. How do things flow from one experience to the next? Is it seamless? What's the culture in my program? How is this program different than any other experience that a young person can get in my city or jurisdiction? And do young people have a chance to engage with higher order thinking? Do they get a chance to think about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it? So if I just drop the microphone right now, we didn't talk about anything else, and you make sure in the summer 2023, you make sure every single young person in your program has a conversation with an adult facilitator about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it. And then the adult facilitator can actually tweak and modify the program based on the feedback that you're getting from those young people in real time. Like, that's some next level stuff, right, Carolyn? That's some next level stuff, without question. So we're trying to get on the next level. So I know we only got an hour of funk to talk a little bit about it today, but if leadership and connection and community is anything, I'd imagine Tom is going to create more avenues for this conversation to continue down the road. So what is youth development? What is positive youth development? Of course, when I came into the business, I didn't know anything. Nobody presented this like definition to me or anything like that. Somebody was just like, you good with kids? Like, go ahead and work in this program. All right. I don't know if that's anybody else's story. That's just my story. I'm sticking to it. Right. But I got introduced to the language much later on. And once I saw the language, I'm like, oh, okay, it makes total sense. So there's actually two definitions of positive youth development. One is a very practical definition And it's important to understand that youth development is a process. So they're not going to come to your program one day and the next day, have everything they need to be, awesome adolescents en route to adulthood. It is a process where young people seek to get their needs met. And if this process doesn't seem different than any of the adult humans that are in your life, everybody's on a quest to get their needs met, right? Behavior is the language of needs. So like if I drop the mic again right there, behavior is the language of needs. People behave in a certain way based on what they need. But they also seek to build the competencies to be successful, to meet their basic physical and social needs, as well as build the competencies, both the knowledge and the skills to succeed as a young person. Let's not forget that young people want to succeed as a young person too. I know we want them to be well-adjusted, make that transition to adulthood in a very seamless way, but they also need to experience success as an adolescent. Practical definition of youth development is that it's an approach that sees young people as assets, that identifies the strengths and the superpowers that they come to the table with, and do not see them as things that need to be fixed, right? Yeah, have you seen this mentality? We got the hero mentality. We want to swoop into the neighborhood and save everybody. We want to save the children, love the children, everything with the children. Like, I get it. We don't want to define young people based on their deficiencies and what they don't have. That's why you hear things like promise youth come out now, right? We don't want to talk about disadvantaged youth. Tired of using language like disadvantaged, marginalized, and while that might very well be the case, that positive youth development focuses on not this idea of fixing broken youth, but leveraging the strengths, the skills, the capacities, as well as the developmental needs of youth. So that in and of itself can be a transformational game changer in the life of somebody who chooses to serve children, youth, and families. So what do these people need to be like? What do they need to look like, feel like, sound like with respect to how they interact and engage with children, youth, and families? What does that experience look like, feel like, and sound like? So I know somewhere in PowerPoint land, somebody was like, if you need to put more than 10 words on the slide, don't put it up there because it's going to be crazy. People are going to have a reaction to it. So there's a lot of words on the slide. So sorry about that if you're visually activated by so many words on this slide. But I ask you to just sort of look at it, and I'd encourage somebody to unmute themselves and to either talk about a person that you've either hired or a coworker that you see that embraces and embodies these dispositions, and just talk about them for a second. What do they do with young people and families that make them live up to these bullets? What do they say or do that shows that they show warmth, caring, respect for every single child as an individual, that they value ongoing professional development, they reflect on personal beliefs, that they value and nurture imagination, creativity, they respond to challenges with flexibility and perseverance? Anybody got a staff person or a colleague that you just want to lift up and celebrate right now who embodies any of these bullets? Which one of these bullets, and who is this person? You don't have to say their name if you don't like to or want to, but it's a chance to celebrate one of our colleagues and friends. Yes, please, I can hear you.
Hi, this is Neo Perry. I'm a site director with school-age childcare in Louisville. And I've got a group leader whose name is Mr. Mike, and he fulfills just about all these bullet points. He's fantastic to have around. It's like having a member of the family come to get to hang.
Absolutely. Shout out to Mr. Mike. Shout out to all the Mr. Mikes that's out there. If you know a Mr. Mike in your world, you know him, any other human named Mike, that embodies all these, please. Anybody else care to share? Go ahead, unmute yourself. Let's lift up another one of our colleagues that do any of these bullets like Mr. Mike. I want to be like Mike, straight up. Anybody? Unmute yourself and share with us. Otherwise, I'll keep talking. Like I said, I'm like Captain America. I can do this all day. I hear somebody.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah, I got one.
You got it, brother.
All right, cool. So my name is Robert. I work for the school-age childcare for the YMCA for Dunn Elementary, and my group leader is Elonda, and much like Mike, she really holds all of these together. But what I really like most is just how personal she makes things. Personal to where she loves these kids as her own. She engages in families, talking and just seeing how they're not so much as hey, how's your kid doing that, but it's more like how's your day going, how's life been, how's everything doing, all right. And she really and it's not just a quick hi, hey, how are you, but she's like really going into depth about it. And so just to have that heart to really engage in that, like that's something very special. And again, that's not just with the parents, but that's just with the kids as well. And man, that really goes a long way.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that very much. Sharing your knowledge, your wisdom, and lifting up one of your colleagues. This is what it's about, without question. We can leverage the very best that our field has to offer to celebrate one another, to identify when great practice is happening at the point of service where it matters the most, but also to identify clear opportunities for growth and improvement. So we appreciate you sharing some kind words about your colleague. Fabulous. Awesome. And where are you from, Kentucky or Oklahoma? Because I see my
my bad. Sorry, I was muted. I'm from Kentucky.
Oh, okay. No, I appreciate you, brother. Kentucky is representing strong in the comments and just like unmuting themselves. So Oklahoma, you gotta catch up a little bit. Challenging you, shouting out Oklahoma. Leverage these times to share what's awesome in the great state of Oklahoma. Fabulous. Cool. Okay, I see where I'm at. So none of this matters if we don't move young people to outcomes, right? So you don't want to just run programs just to be running programs, and it doesn't affect the bottom line, which is moving young people from where they are to a place where they're well-adjusted, healthy, super connected, and that kind of thing. And so I just want to talk a little bit about outcomes. And we know that we want young people to have the knowledge and the skills and the attributes that they need to be healthy and caring. So we don't want them to get pregnant early. We don't want them to engage in all kinds of, behaviors that could potentially have them off track. We don't want them to get involved in, drug abuse and, all the other stuff. There's all kinds of crap out there on the street. Now, we don't want them to get involved in that. And there are programs that are devoted exclusively to that, which is all about problem prevention outcomes. But again, we don't want to define our young people by all the problems that they could potentially come into contact with, right? So it's not only about problem prevention, although we do recognize problem prevention as an element in the work that we do. And if that is your sole purpose as an organization, no worries. But just, this is about knowing what we're doing, using the words to describe what it is that we're doing. And so those problem prevention outcomes are, when young people are competent and healthy, when they don't engage in that problem behavior. But then there's also achievement outcomes. There are programs that are designed to help young people achieve those great endpoints, right? Do you remember what it was like when you got your first paycheck? Anybody remember what that felt like when you got your first paycheck? This is not your allowance, if you were lucky enough to have allowance. Like I would have allowance like every 3 or 4 months because we couldn't afford allowance. But when you got that first job where you saw a check that came in because of the labor that you put in and that is yours, nobody can tell you what to do with it, that was awesome. Anybody remember when you got that first car? You got your first car, you made that first major purchase. Maybe it wasn't a car, maybe it was that first, gaming PC that was like $1,000, it was yours, you bought it. That's an achievement. And so we want young people to experience problem prevention outcomes as well as achievement outcomes. But I would challenge even both of those and say that if my organization, my program, focused on exclusively developmental outcomes, that both problem prevention and achievement will take care of themselves. If you believe that, go ahead and click the thumbs up or something like that. So part of believing that is understanding what developmental outcomes are, right? Which is young people are competent and healthy when they develop a positive sense of who they are as a person. Like, this is what we do in programs. Like, you are an awesome human being. You're positive. You are valuable. We need you. You contribute, right? And develop this sense of connection and commitment to other people. There's a reason why we pick up trash that's in our community or just on the floor. We don't look at the paper on the floor and say, I didn't put it there. Even if I say, could you pick that up? I didn't put it there, Mr. Clarke. Okay, that's week 1. Probably by week 4 or 5, they picking up paper around the program because they now have ownership. That they feel a connection and a commitment to other people, to their family, to their school, to their community, to their program. Fabulous. Outcomes. This is why we do what we do, folks. We run high quality programs to move young people towards developmental outcomes so that the problem prevention and treatment can take care of themselves. Does that resonate? That makes sense? That seems like that would work? Totally. I'm gonna take that as a yes. We also want young people to participate. And participation is not attendance. Attendance is an important metric. Of course, they have to be there. And, from a risk management standpoint, you need to know who's in your building, who's in your program, who showed up, who's picking them up, all that good stuff that we do to keep young people safe. But attendance is not participation. Young people actually participate when they have the power and control to implement decisions together and share in the responsibility of the outcomes with each other as well as the adult caregivers. So this is us partnering with young people so that they can make the changes so that the young people can direct their own activity. And this might be hard to wrap your mind around if you're thinking about early childhood, but I believe that you can craft an experience where even kindergarten students are directing their own activity. If you think that's possible, go ahead and click that raise hand button or the thumbs up. Do you think kindergarten young people, early childhood, even pre-K can contribute to the direction of their own activity? If there's anybody on the line that does that successfully, please unmute yourself and let us know a little bit about how you do that, what that looks like and feels like and sound like. But I believe that it's possible, which is the first, get that barrier out of the way, because if you don't believe it's possible, then you're not going to march towards it, right? So you got to check your own beliefs around what you think young people are capable of, which is also, a great disposition for a youth development practitioner to have. And then also young people can take responsibility. So this is the youth taking responsibility for the activity to come to fruition. Of course, in partnership with the adults. It doesn't mean the adults don't do anything. The adults are sitting there alongside the young people, participating alongside them, asking things like open-ended, craftily open-ended questions so young people can think more deeply about what they're doing, how they're doing it, and why they're doing it. Totally awesome. So let's not confuse attendance with participation. Attendance is an important metric, but also participation, authentic, true, genuine participation is where you get young people to come back. Especially the older youth, middle schoolers. Anybody work with middle schoolers? Those kids that vote with their feet. If they're not having a good time, if they're not connected to it, if they're not actively engaged, they're gonna step and walk off. The streets is the most long-standing youth development program out there in the universe, right? So it's either they're gonna get their needs met with us or they're gonna get their needs met someplace else. But they're gonna get their needs met without question, right? So invite them in, give them authentic opportunities to participate, where they make the change, they direct their own activity in partnership with the adults, and they take responsibility for it coming to fruition. And they also take responsibility if it doesn't happen. And then of course the reflection question is, why did we not achieve what we set out to achieve? Which in and of itself could be a super powerful transformational moment in the lives of these young people. Fabulous. Awesome. I'm looking at the time. I see that there's 10 minutes left in the discussion that we have. I'm going to keep rocking out. I'm going to put us back on the one, just like James Brown would. Jump back. You know what I mean? You got to jump back. Let's go. I see Miss Hicks is with me, by the way. I appreciate you, Miss Hicks. It's good to see a friendly face. It's also important to know what we're doing. Give me an S. Give me an O. Give me an S. It's either you providing services, opportunities, and supports to young people, or you're doing all three of these. Whenever I talk to my staff, when I had a staff in the trenches, in program, in school buildings, running out of school time and summer learning experiences, before they left at the end of the day, I would ask them, did you give a healthy dose? of SOS today. Because if all you did was give young people stuff today, we gotta like figure out what else we could do, because it's about giving them resources when they need it, right? So young people need nutrition services. They need a snack. They need it. Like, at the end of that, you give them the snack, the little cheese roll and the thing and whatever, the milk, chocolate milk, boom, it's over. The service is done. If you got a backpack that you got from the local office supply store and you do this little campaign right before school starts, and you give each kid a backpack, that's a service. You give them a backpack, boom, it's over. It's like a closed-ended question. You know, do you like chocolate ice cream? The only answer to that is yes or no. It's over and done with. Where the rubber really meets the road for young people, of course, their needs need to be met, because if they're hungry, and you go back to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, if they're not safe, you can't get to the other areas of actualization, right? Maslow, shout out to Maslow, we appreciate you, brother, right? But it's about the opportunity. What do the young people get to do? And I can't tell you how many programs I visited in this country where actually the adults think it's a great program, but the young people actually didn't get to do anything. They just passively like watched. Or you go to a program and they're sitting there watching a movie, the classic, when it's too hot outside, they're watching a movie. Well, okay. I'm not judging, but if you're looking at what young people get to do, they didn't actually get to do anything. They were not active in that. They didn't have a role or responsibility other than sitting quiet and watching, right? What did the young people actually get to do? Did they get a chance to explore, express, and earn, belong? So I'm not hating on watching a movie or watching something, right? You can do that, but what else? What do you do around that to extend the learning around this act of watching a movie, right? Sometimes you gotta throw the movie on, right? Cool. And then, of course, what are some of the things that you do with young people? We don't just give young people stuff and then step to the side and make sure that they don't put forks in the outlets. We don't do that. We participate alongside them. So if we're asking the kids to do something funny and kooky and be outside their comfort zone, guess what? If we want to support them, we also should be just as funny and kooky and outside of our comfort zone alongside them. Really simple. We support young people by doing things with them. We create the program with them. We share, we do the opening circle, friendship circle with them. We get the young people to do, young people can do the reflection at the end of the day because we're doing this stuff with them. When we set rules and expectations for how we behave in this space, both the adults and the young people, that we create those expectations with them, you get the idea. Supports is about what you do with young people. So as you think about what you're offering families, are you offering services, opportunities, and supports, or are you offering a healthy balance of all three? Anybody care to share? I can stop talking for a moment. Anybody care to share? Has this opened up any kind of insight, aha? Is anybody in the room like doing a healthy balance of SOS?
Actually, I unmuted right before you said that. I'm sorry, this is Dina again. You reminded me of something that we did that I absolutely love and hate at the same time. I love it and hate it because the kids ask for it all the time now. So I'm like, let's do something new. But with movies, we don't do screen time, but I love to do a Willy Wonka party. So I challenge the kids to always watch the movie at home with their parents, and then they have to come up with a game that they can create from watching the movie. And when they create the game, we throw a party, and just throughout the party, we play those games during the party that they created.
Absolutely. The party that they created, operative word, right? A lot of times as adults, we have things that we like to do, and sometimes we even try to relive our youth through the youth in our program because it's something that we like to do when we were 15. We assume that they're going to like to do it. It's about the young people driving the experience. It's about the young people co-creating the experience. It's about the young people being actively engaged in their own growth and development alongside the adult caregivers in partnership with them. Young people don't want to totally separate from the adult caregivers in their life. What they really want, especially our older youth, is a renegotiated interdependence with the adult caregivers in their life. If that blew your mind just now, there's a lot embedded in that statement. But young people want a renegotiated interdependence with the adult caregivers in their life. They don't want to be told what to do, but they certainly need your guidance and counsel. Young people also don't need information from us today. There's so much information available to them at their fingertips with the technological environment that we live in right now. What they do need assistance in and help with is interpretation of all of the information that they have access to at their fingertips. So if we can move from feeling like we're in this space where we need to provide information, but move to a place where we help people interpret, young people interpret the information that they have access to, we'll be in a better place. So it's about interpretation and not information, because they got that.
Can you say that one more time, Mr. Clarke?
Yes, absolutely.
The
So
renegotiation part.
it's young people would like, so there's a myth that young people want to separate from adults and they want to, be on their own and be completely independent from the adult caregivers in their life. That's a myth. What young people do want is what we call a renegotiated interdependence with the adult caregivers in their life. So I need you as the adult, you need me as the adult, as a young person. How do we negotiate that in a way where it's not you telling me what to do or how to live my life or, being very directive with me, but how do we have a negotiation where, needs, wants, understanding is universal? So it really is a renegotiated interdependence with the adult caregivers rather than a complete divestation of, separating from the adult caregivers in our life. And then the other piece, extension of that is this realization that young people do not need us for information. It's not 1976. Like they go to the computer, they go to a search engine, they type whatever, and they get information to them. What they do need assistance with and support in is how to interpret the myriad, of information that they have access to. So as we look and analyze how we support young people, it's less about providing information and more about helping them interpret the sea of information that they currently have access to. So thanks for asking me to clarify that. I got 3 minutes left in this time of funk that we have, since we're comparing this time with this visceral, funk movement, and even shouted out Brother James Brown ancestors without a doubt. So cool. So I only have a few minutes left, so I'll point you to this resource that I will commit to making sure that, Tom, you get your hands on this. We are currently in a rewrite and imagination of what the Summer Starts in September guide is. It's originally penned in 2012, but still very relevant today. Still flying off the shelf, but I'm going to go ahead and supply Tom with an electronic copy of this so that you can distribute this amongst your network in both states. So feel free to share that. But it's a comprehensive planning guide for summer programs, many of which extend into the out of school time and during the school year. So if you're thinking about running a program or have run programs, it talks about some of the critical elements, right? So what is the purpose of your program? It might be worth taking a moment to revisit that. How do you sustain this program beyond this year? What do you do to plan? When do you start your planning? What does that planning cycle look like, feel like, and sound like? What are the type of staff people that you're looking for? Remember the previous slide where we talked about those dispositions and who we're trying to recruit to have in front of our young people and families. How do we leverage partnerships as much as possible? Are the partnerships that we currently have, are they still relevant? Doing a little bit of audit of that. And then how do we create an environment that's at the point of service that meets the needs of each individual child, that it's intentional, integrated, and what is it about my programmatic experience that I'm creating with young people that makes it unique and different than any other program that they could have had a chance to go to. And I'll go ahead and close with this from my visual folks in the room. Everything I talked about kind of really gets grounded in this visual. Of course, the young person's brain right there is in the center. And I know that very early on in my career, I never thought about the work that I do actually affecting young people physiologically. The work that you do actually does affect young people's physiological growth and development. There's something called a prefrontal cortex in your brain. It doesn't develop fully until you're 25 years old, according to the research, right? And so how do we create concrete experiences, give them opportunities to reflect on what they did, that they get a chance to actively experiment, that they get a chance to think about concepts in a very, esoteric, abstract way, and then, distill that down to their current context, because we know that context matters, right? How do we leverage those young people that are logical, mathematical, that are gifted, in terms of their ability to master language, or they're kinesthetic, and, that they're audio, verbal, linguistic, how do we engage all those learning styles to go ahead and reach each and every child that we serve? And so we've reached the 11 o'clock hour. And as I always like to do is I always have more content. So I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it. So there's like a whole bunch of other slides in this deck that I would encourage Tom to shoot out to you all, which gives you some tips and pointers as you think about connecting with young people. So this idea of connection over content, making sure that it's intentional and engaging, that young people can play an active role, that your staff are genuine and authentic, that you spend more time listening to young people and not judging, being present. All those things are super important pieces. So I'd encourage you to read through those. And then I'd actually, by way of reflection, just right now in this moment, if you could in the chat, either in the chat or using the reaction button, if you heard something that resonated with you, go ahead, give a thumbs up. If you're kind of like in the middle, you can go ahead and give a thumbs like this, or if what content that we talked about today didn't do it for you, you can also give a thumbs down if that is indeed the case. But I appreciate your time, your energy, your attention, your passion and presence during this segment today. And I thank you once again, Tom, for inviting me and NSLA to come and share some words about summer learning. Summer learning is awesome. You're all about to create these incredible summer learning experiences for young people to survive and thrive in the great state of Kentucky and Oklahoma. And we certainly appreciate all that you do to create those avenues for young people to have access to high quality summer learning experiences. So with that, I'm gonna turn the microphone back over to Brother Tom. I appreciate you. And thank you once again to all of you.
Oh, thank you, Brodrick. This was great. We actually have a couple of extra minutes here, so I would encourage anyone, if you have questions for Brodrick, to come off mute, ask those questions. You can also drop them in the chat. So we do have a few minutes just to keep talking about this incredible topic. I will say summer learning is the one thing that gets me so excited in the OST space. My first job was at a summer day camp for kids in my local community. So I was in high school working at our summer day camp, and I've just been in love with the power of summer learning ever since. And so I'm so grateful to you, Brodrick, for joining us this morning and sharing your expertise and your passion.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It reminds me of my days in the great city of Louisville and running that summer program with our Muhammad Ali scholars. And, you can turn anything into a programmatic experience for young people. And, both the great state of Oklahoma and the great state of Kentucky has such great infrastructure and things that young people can learn a great deal. We just need to take them to it, expose them to it. Exposure is key, and making sure that they have access to a high quality staff person that has all those dispositions, like is curious, understands each young person as an individual, finds craftily and creative ways to get young people access. I feel that Shelley believes this without question. I see you, Shelley. I appreciate you being in the space. I know Ms. Hicks believes that. She's been totally on it since we got here. And I see Becky as well. It's totally resonates. So I appreciate you. Any questions, thoughts?
I was going to say real quick, not to embarrass her too much, but Ms. Hicks is part of our inaugural class of after-school ambassadors in Kentucky. So an amazing program where we're lifting up all of our wonderful after-school leaders across the state, and she's part of that inaugural cohort. So we love the work that she's doing in her community. So
fabulous.
Yes. Yes. Any questions? All right. Well, it looks like, you covered it all, Brodrick.
No, that's awesome.
You're ready to go. You're ready
to
go out and conquer the world.
Without question. I appreciate all the thoughts that were shared in the chat, and the appreciation and gratitude that's shared there. Know that that's two-way without question. And If there's anything that the National Summer Learning Association can do to support you and your efforts, please don't hesitate to reach out. We do have a virtual boot camp that's coming up fairly soon. So if you go to summerlearning.org, that's at no cost. So the more the merrier. We talk about things like recruitment, retention of staff, which is always a big issue. We talk about funding and how to access some of the federal funds, the $36 billion that was put out in the American Rescue Plan and other places. We coach folks on how to access those. So that's a great space. And then we have our national conference in October, where it's a great time to connect with over 1,000 leaders in the summer learning and out of school time space. So if you ever wanted to connect with Parks and Recreation and libraries and, summer youth employment, as well as companies like Apple and Google and others that have philanthropic interests in our space, the Wallace Foundations and Mott Foundations of the world, our conference is a great place to do that. So thank you once again. I appreciate you. It was a great time. Great to have the moment to share our expertise and knowledge with you, and great to learn and hear all the things that you lifted up in terms of celebrating your colleagues and the great practices that are happening in your local jurisdiction. So we appreciate you, and if we can support you in any way, shape, or form, please don't hesitate to reach out.
Awesome. Well, thanks again, Brodrick. We really appreciate you joining us this morning. All right, we're going to have a little bit of a break here before our breakout sessions. Those will begin at 11:15 a.m. Eastern time. They will begin right on time, so 11:15 Eastern sharp, 10:15 Central Time sharp. We have some great breakout sessions getting ready to begin. Just a reminder, you can go back to the homepage of springboardtosummer.com. And click on session access, and you can see what those breakout sessions will be. Feel free to join any one that you would like. Also, if you've not had the chance yet, please check out the forum on the homepage. The forum is a great place where you can connect with your colleagues, ask questions of other attendees, debrief about the wonderful things we just learned from Brodrick, and just another way to network with your peers and get connected to others doing similar work. You can also check out, there are a few virtual booths in the exhibit hall that have more great information about things like Mizzen by Mott and some other resources that may help you when you're planning your summer learning program. So I hope all of you have a great 2 days of learning, and please remember, if you're running into any technical issues, we do have an FAQ support link at the bottom of the homepage at springboardtosummer.com. Our great colleagues at DCPB 360 will get you fixed and ready to go so you can enjoy all the learning that is ahead. So just a reminder, we will get back into breakout sessions in 7 minutes. So at 11:15 Eastern, 10:15 a.m. Central Time. And again, I hope you guys have a great 2 days of learning. We'll see you in the breakout sessions.